Hello, and welcome to a new episode with your host, Vinney Chopra. I'm so excited to have you here as we dive deep into the world of real estate investing, syndications, abundance mindset, and building generational wealth. We are excited to be in the top 1.5% of the real estate podcasts. Got number 11 actually out of top 50 real estate syndication podcasts. Thanks to you. Each episode, we bring powerful insights, expert guests, and actionable strategies to help you take your investing game to the next level. Whether you are a seasoned investor or just getting started, if you love what you hear, please take a moment to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and follow me on social media so that we can never miss an episode. Your support helps us continue sharing valuable content with more people like you. Now let's jump into today's episode. Thank you. Hi there, guys. Vinney Chopra back again with Apartment Syndication Made Easy. I hope you like my Abundance Mindset show that I do on Thursday live, and also Vinney and Bo show on Fridays. That's like quite a few shows. But I've got a great guest. Morgan Keim is here, and he's in the Southern California. I'm in the Northern California. Yeah, favorite little way. How are you, Morgan? How are you doing?
Hey, Vinney, thanks for having me, Vinney. And look, perfect timing for the conversation, right? There's bridge debt stress and assumables creating one of the most interesting buying windows we've seen in years. A little bit about me. I used to raise hundreds of millions of dollars in the venture-backed startup world, particularly in the food tech space, which I know a lot of the folks in your backyard in San Francisco know a lot about.
Yes.
And nowadays, I help founders turn income into ownership in overlooked affordable housing. So really, it's all about running a downside first playbook when the headlines and some of the things that were working before weren't working so much. So we can unpack all of that stuff, though.
Yeah, yes. So how did you get into real estate? If you would like to humble what triggered it, and then you have been very successful now. So take us on a small journey. Yeah.
Absolutely. So my road has been actually, I started in real estate as a limited partner more than a decade ago. I had a career in high growth startups. I was focused on basically building and scaling scientific ventures as the business guy. And the space that I was building in, it's a very nascent area where there hadn't been a lot of exits, big venture backed types of companies where it's a 1 in 10 bet that the company is going to be worth something one day. And even from an early on standpoint, I never felt like being a 1 in 10 bet in a venture backed portfolio would be the right move for my family. And so while I did that as my career, this sort of high risk, high reward startup domain, I really actually lucked into my first real estate investment in Los Angeles, where I saw real estate as being the other side of my barbell strategy, a lower risk, tried and true, more stable way to invest so that I wasn't just all taking a high risk road. And so the property that I was living in and renting at the time in Santa Monica, California, was sold from an investor group to somebody else. And it was like, I think a triplex or a quad. It was like a
Mm.
small multifamily. The people that sold it made $1 million on the transaction. And I remember waking up to the notion that happened where I'm just writing rent checks from one person to another. But then I realized, wait, how is this even possible? That is like years of me
Yeah.
grinding out in the startup with like very little security. And yet they were able to do that by just improving it a little bit, finding
Yeah.
ways of elevating the value, and then finding an opportunity for a buyer to step in that made it really like a good deal for everybody, because I think
Mhm.
that's a very important piece. And so I actively pursued the group that sold that property. I like
Mhm.
literally showed up the next day, like to get coffee with the people that did it. I was like, tell me everything. I've never even thought about this before. I have a totally different path, but
Yep.
tell me everything that you do.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting time because this was in 2014, mind you. Their focus was almost entirely on LA value add multifamily, small
Got
kind
it.
of multifamily, 4 to 30 or so units.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so they ended up, after a long road of me almost qualifying myself to them, presenting me with an opportunity to invest alongside them in a syndication. And I
Yep.
had the whole learning opportunity of what is this and what are we doing here? And I probably asked a million super dumb questions. First time investor would, just trying to make sure that I wasn't about to get scammed. I
Right.
literally
Right.
scraped together the minimum investment to afford that check.
Yes.
I remember this deal, Vinny. It was like a mid 20 something unit. It was in an up and coming part of LA next to a graveyard. And I remember
Oh,
thinking, like, this is the last thing I ever had on my vision board of life. Like, I don't know, like, what this is going to lead, but I don't know why I just have to follow this energy. So I wrote the check, fingers crossed, like, I all of a sudden didn't just make the biggest regret of my life. And in 3 months, I get my first rent check back, steady, tried and true. It starts trickling back to me. At some point, I see these people are very legitimate. I do another deal with them. Again, scrape together the minimum. I think at one point I had to bring some friends in. But I got my hands-on education of real estate as an LP, asking lots of questions, showing up on these properties. I was probably the most active limited partner of all time
wow.
while
Wow.
I ran my startups and while I developed into that career path.
Got it. Got
Yeah.
it. Wow. So then from LP to GP.
Hi, friends. This is Vinney Chopra from here in Danville, California. And you might be saying, hey, Vinny, what are these over here? You know, I wrote this book a few years back. Apartment syndication made easy. It became top seller. I came from India with $7 in my pocket. It says 500 million. It's going to be 1 billion very soon, very soon. I'm right at about 850, 900 million. And then I'm ready for the next billion. Actually, you will see that happening, 2 billion in this book also. The other book I wrote, which has been a very big positivity, has been my life. Always, I've been married 43 years with 2 children, and the beauty is to be positive, the mindset that can take you to all the places in the world. And that's the book that also became big seller. My third book, Senior Assisted Living, is coming. So do yourself a favor. Go ahead and click the link below to get free copies, audio copies of these books, even printed copies of these books. Printed means digital if you can't afford it. But I would highly recommend for you to get these or go to Amazon.com. Just go to Amazon. I got it in soft cover, in hardcover, in Kindle, in audio, also the Spanish version of this book also. So let's crush it, guys. I know you can be successful. I know you can do the kind of things that you want to do in life and have the streams of income and know how to really, educate yourself so that you could become a strong force in this world in real estate. I know you can. So take that step. Don't just be on the sideline. Take charge of your life. Take charge of your education.
When did you make that jump and what made you realize, oh, I can do it? You learned so much, and that's the beauty of it. If you are inquisitive and asking things and you see the operation, the back end, the front end, you are able to look at deals, underwrite them well, and then get your family, friends involved. That's how you've
Exactly.
done, and it's just scaled up for you now, huh?
Exactly. And I remember in those days that this moving millions of dollars into a deal felt outright impossible. How is that? How could you even do that? This is so different than what I was born into or trained to do. I literally had to show up and learn it and take action. But through the imperfect action cycle, that's how I became a GP. So I leaned in as an LP. I think I did 10 or 12 deals over the course of 6 years, and people saw that these were working out. Some people co-invested with me, and there got to be a point where people said, Morgan, I've seen you quietly double your money on a lot of these different properties over the last 3 or 4 years. Can I just co-invest in everything you're doing going forward here? And so I started to do some raising for other sponsors in that regard. Now, meanwhile, my startup career is still going, and if anything, it took off. Things got really hot and heavy. And a company that I helped to launch, basically get funded, had raised just an enormous Series A round, pre-revenue, going to change the world. Vinny, more than $100 million
Wow.
into a company that didn't exist 6 months prior. And
Yes.
I suddenly found myself on flights, basically weekly, from Southern California, where I live, to Boston,
Uh, Ah.
across the country. That's like a 6 hour flight.
Mhm.
Mind you, you got to get there for the Monday meetings, which means you're flying Sundays, or you're
Yeah.
taking that red eye and you're not feeling so good the next morning.
Sure.
And so I remember I had done this for 6 or 7 months. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is getting insane.
Insane. It's
I'm
insane.
literally like leaving everybody I love behind. And I caught
Yeah.
myself in this defining moment where I
Hmm.
realized I was taking off on the 141 flight out of LAX, JetBlue. They people like knew my name because I was on this thing so much. And we're going to Boston. It's going to be a Sunday night arrival. And I remember looking down, I think it was about this time around September, looking down in
Mm.
LA. The beaches were beautiful. I could see the beautiful ocean. I knew my wife was there. All of my friends were there. And I just realized, like, what am I doing going to
Wow.
the other side of the
Wow.
country where I don't know anybody, chasing
Uh,
this big headline, this
mm.
big existential mission to change the world when I'm leaving everybody I love behind?
So true. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. That's revelation. That's
yeah,
revelation, brother.
yeah,
And the key thing, what you just mentioned, is that one has to see the joy, the happiness, I say balance in
yeah,
life comes at a
yeah,
price.
yeah.
And
It
you got to
does.
make sure that the price is not that bad
Yeah,
that you lose your family, your children,
that's
their
right.
upbringing. All those things are so important.
It's so important. And it's
Yeah. So,
also that price can evolve and change over time.
yeah.
We can be so tied to our beliefs. And I've been there.
Yes.
I get so tied. I'll dig
Yeah.
in. Oh, I
Yeah.
believe. But the reality is you don't have to be the person you were yesterday.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can stand up one day and say, the things that got me success up to this point are
Yeah.
not the things that are going to get me beyond to the next
Totally.
level of how I want to live.
Totally. That is totally our decision. And that should be in everybody's mind, everybody following us, listening to us. It's so spectacular to really see what the
Yeah.
mountain is, where you're going,
Yeah.
climbing up the mountain. You got to look back and see, is this
Yeah.
the right mountain? I always say that. That
Mhm.
way you are not climbing the wrong mountain and
That's
you
so right.
leave everybody behind. And when
Yeah.
you reach the top, you feel
Yeah.
so not right
Yeah.
and so disgruntled, and you say,
Yeah.
why did I spend so much time? Let me bring you into another posture right now. So, in the sense that with the multifamily has been pretty red, quite a bit
Hmm.
red in the last 3, 4 years,
Yeah.
and now we see, as we are doing recording today,
Yeah.
that rate cuts might be coming. Let's
Yeah.
take a little perspective where we tell the audience, how do
Sure.
you see from your lens what
Yeah.
might happen? Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's been tough the last 3 or 4 years, driven by rates, but also just affordability in general,
Yeah.
which has caused transaction volumes to fall off a cliff. I think it's something like today we're transacting 75% less than 3 years
Hmm.
ago, something along
Yeah.
those lines. That
Hmm.
means 3 times less money, 3 times less
Yes.
anybody
Yeah.
doing a 1031 exchange. All of the liquidity sort of
Yeah.
saps up and you're holding on a little bit. Now, rates being lowered will certainly help that. So, one second. Rates being lowered certainly
Hmm.
helps the liquidity environment because it allows more buyers to be able to transact again. It allows then the ripple effect of
Yep.
more transactions to then go into other domains in real estate. It just unlocks some of that pressure that we're
Mm.
feeling. Now, I will say though, Vinny, not all parts of multifamily, from what I've experienced, have been hit the same way.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
when after I had that flight realization, I got serious when I said, I'm going to actually go do this myself and be a GP. We
Hmm.
said, how do we focus on essentially the most affordable markets in the country where I can buy small format multifamily, where it's so far below replacement costs that if we absolutely royally screw this thing up,
Yeah.
at least we'll get our money back.
Yeah.
And ironically, that led me to Cleveland, Ohio, is where we ended up selecting. We bought 20
Yes.
multifamily properties in our first 18 months, raised a
Wow.
small fund, and we were just voraciously putting offers, everything on market, wholesalers, taking distressed type assets and turning them into communities that are thriving and that give dignity to the tenants that live there. But what we've
Wow.
actually seen is that the buying behavior in those kind of markets has accelerated dramatically from
Mm,
when we started buying in 2020 and 2021, because all of a
wow.
sudden a lot of the overbuilding and the stimulus money and then all the stuff that came during the like post COVID led into high demand locations that are maybe temporarily overbuilt, and that can
Sure.
further hurt rent growth and that kind of thing. But then
That's
some
amazing.
places got left for dead. And now buyers are saying, I want cash flow, and it's leading them back into places like Cleveland.
So true. Cleveland is on the radar. I know Jackson, Mississippi, Oklahoma City,
Yeah,
Indiana. There's so many places. You're
there's so
so
many.
right where the opportunity is there.
Mhm.
What's the end of the? I know it's been such great knowing you and everything. How can we tell? Maybe three nuggets if you want to
Sure,
impart to somebody new who is looking into purchasing or doing some
sure,
LP investment. What three nuggets come to your
sure.
mind that might be a good junction to wrap up the interview? Yeah,
Sure. Look, if I'm thinking about somebody new who wants to participate in real estate, you want to take some level of imperfect action. You can't just sit on the sidelines, but you don't have
yeah,
to do it all. You don't have to
yeah,
say, I'm going to go suddenly figure out how to raise $5 million to take down a 100-unit building. That's just not a reasonable
yeah,
ask.
yeah,
So there are micro actions that you can take to get you involved. Reading something like one of your books, Vinny, is like a great,
yeah.
a great step.
Thank,
Mentorship. I pay tens of thousands of dollars even now for
yeah,
elite mentorships to get me in the
yes,
room to understand what's happening to give an edge. And
yes,
investing in yourself is everything, right? As is having, you speak about it really well, like of the very positive mental attitude and just saying, look, we're going to figure this out even when it gets tough, even when it feels insurmountable. I would think when you're looking at different avenues in general, if you're just trying to learn about the space and you're a passive LP, interview 10 operators. See what you like, see what you don't, see what kind of markets
yes,
appeal
yes,
to you, and think about who you are as a person, what that mountain is, like you said, Vinny. What's the mountain that you're going to? Are you looking for
yes.
a cash flow bridge out of your high income? Are you looking for tax efficiency? Are you looking for
Yep.
generational wealth and compounding? They might have different avenues and there might be different sponsors that you can work with. And then if you're trying to get a little more involved and actually look at maybe syndications being part of your future, you could think about either helping to do some part of the capital raise or helping to do some part of finding a deal or operating a deal with the sponsor. So I think there are a lot of ways to play here.
So true. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Any book can you think of that you're reading now that might be helpful to the listeners? Yeah.
Oh man, I read some books, but my favorite book, the one that made probably changed my mentality the most, is actually up, I think he's near you, but The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Have you ever read this book?
Oh my gosh. No. Ravikant?
Okay. It's
Oh,
not very well talked about in the real estate
I
community,
see.
but Naval Ravikant is the founder of Angel List. He's a
Yes,
prolific
yes.
investor,
I
entrepreneur.
know. Yeah, I've
And
heard.
this book, he goes into health, wealth, and happiness. And
Beautiful.
he just defines in such succinct ways things that really matter. And he helps you find that peak that you're going for quicker. At least he helped me do that.
I love it.
When
Love
I
it.
learned about the three forms of leverage, for instance, labor leverage, capital leverage, and permissionless leverage, which is what we're doing today, code based, that all of that just can work towards your dreams and
Yes.
compound an effect towards reaching where you want to go. That opened my eyes to the possibilities of what we can do in this world that were beyond anything I could see at the time. So those kind of books I feel like are already,
I love it.
I'm curious, same question
Thank
to you
you.
though. What would you think that I need to be reading
Yeah.
if you had to recommend one?
Business. We always read really good biographies. We look at case studies because we learn from them. I always feel that way. Of course, motivated with the daily routines and miracle morning, I call it.
Yeah.
Do that. I would love to say the last thing, how can people reach you? Thanks so much for coming on the show, and my team will be sending you the links as they edit and everything. So how can people reach you? Yeah.
Absolutely. So, you can learn more about my company, Ocean Ridge Capital, at www.oceanridgecap.com. If anyone wants to, talk, touch base, book a call, we have a link on there. And then I'd also say we just put out an ebook that might be valuable for some of the folks that are thinking about diligence frameworks and understanding how to navigate these deals. That's called the Passive Wealth Playbook. You can check that out at passivewealthplay.com.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Morgan. It's such a pleasure to have you. Absolutely. And see you next time. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, Vinney. Appreciate you, man.
Totally. Bye-bye.
Dear friends, this is Vinney Smile Chopra. I am so glad you're listening to the episode. Thanks so much. Really appreciate that. Please share it with others who can really benefit also. Can I ask you a favor? Just a small favor. Less than a minute, if you could give 5-star reviews on iTunes or Stitcher, that'll go a long way. We are one of the top podcasts in real estate now in the nation, but it will really help a lot if you gave 5-star reviews, and we'll bring a lot more great content for you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, and see you in the next episode. God bless you. Bye-bye. Wow, what an incredible conversation today. I hope you got tons of value from this episode. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and follow me on social media to stay updated on all the things real estate, investing, abundance mindset, and wealth creation. If you're an accredited investor looking for exclusive investment opportunities, be sure to join our elite Monil Investors Club at vinnychopra.com/invest, where we share details of our future projects. Quick disclaimer, we are not selling any securities, and this podcast is strictly for educational and information purposes only. The opinions shared by our guests are their own and should not be considered financial or investment advice. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a financial professional before making any investment decisions. Thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, keep smiling, keep investing, and keep making a massive impact. God bless you.
Be sure to listen to Mr. Smiles next week with more golden nuggets and top-notch coaching tips. You can reach him by going to vinnychopra.com. Be sure to like, comment, and share to show everyone how Mr. Smiles has brought your apartment syndication business to the next level.